Hi, I'm Dave from Hardy Scale Models, and this is part 3 of my video build of the Airfix 1/72 scale BAe Nimrod. So I've started off with getting all the sprue parts off and sanding them all down, and for this I'm using Ultimate Modeling Products thinny sticks, which are basically sanders called thinny sticks. Obviously they've got a thick end and a thin end. Some of them are dual-sided, different grits, and start off with a thick grit, going down with fine grit, and then finishing off with the buffer. And once I've got all the parts ready with the sanders, we then move on to gluing it all together, which is with Tamiya's extra thin cement. I use this for pretty much all small parts now. It's very easy to use. You just, as you can see from the video, you just brush it on, and it basically welds the two pieces of plastic together. It's quite quick. The other bottle you can see there is the extra thin fast setting, so there are two different options. And now we've got a few little parts I had to paint by hand because I didn't want to sort of airbrush these, and that's using MIG gunmetal for the fan blades for the engines. Now it's time to move on to the wings, which are very large on this aircraft. The underside of the wings is one piece, and it's quite flexible, so I had a dry fit, as you can see here. No glue or anything at the moment, just wanted to make sure everything was fitting together perfectly. See if all the joints would come together. You obviously want to minimise any filling that you have to make, so I always do the dry fit first. When I've glued the wings together, I've decided to use Revell Contactor Professional Glue, basically because the Tamiya Extra Thin Cement would work absolutely fine, but I'm putting this glue on because it takes longer to set. So applying this along the joints with the very fine needle that you see there, and putting the wings together, and then I'm basically going to hold everything together with masking tape. And then I'll just leave it for 24 hours just to make sure that the bond has properly gone off, and that it is fully set and ready to be sanded down. The wings went together really well. There was no real problems here. I didn't really have to sand down any of the joints or the fixing points. Obviously sanded off the attachment to the sprue, got all that sanded off before I started gluing everything together, but actually come to the part where attaching the wings together, there was no issues at all really. Everything clicked into place. Just take your time, don't have to rush it. Make sure everything's sitting nicely, and then once you're happy with the fit, once you're happy with the position, then you can use whatever you like: clothes pegs, plastic clips, clamps, masking tape, anything you like, just to hold the wings in position. And like I say, for this glue, I give it a full 24 hours. So once while the wings were setting, moved back to the fuselage section, and no matter how good a kit is or whatever, there are going to be times when you're going to have to fill in some seams, particularly on this fuselage, which is two halves set along the middle, and you need to hide that joint. So what I'm using here is Humbrol model filler, just applying it with a toothpick. There are kits or proper tools you can buy, but I just use a toothpick and spread it on, sand it down once it's dry. And what you'll probably find, because fillers tend to shrink when they are drying out, that if you've got a particularly deep crack, pardon the pun, you have to put more than one layer on. So on this one, I've put in a layer of filler along with the fuselage, and then I'm using the Ultimate Modeling Products sanders again, thick grit, medium grit, fine grit, which you can see me switching down there. Just bringing down the extra sort of layer of putty that you've put on. And then the final step of the sanding, I use the buffer, which is the blue one. You can see that it's got a blue side, which I believe is a very, very fine grit, 12,000 I believe it is. And then the white side is a buffer, which brings a shine back to the plastic. And as you go along doing it, I'm just making sure that I can't feel any joins, I can't feel any ridges, and it feels nice and smooth. But obviously once you have done all your sanding and your filling, You can use a primer, which most people would do, spray the model with a primer, and the best job that a primer does is to show you where you've got any imperfections that you need to fix. So yeah, just get it all sanded down. This is the buffer there, using the white side, and it gets it all nice and shiny and back to a smooth finish. So now I added the primer, and I'm using Tamiya grey primer for this from a spray can. So give it a little light coat, and then you can check your seams to see where your imperfections are. You can see here that the first layer of filler isn't enough, so you need to go back and retreat all those seams where you can see any marks and repeat the process. So now there's the attaching the fuselage into the wings. Again, using the Revell Contact Professional, which I was going to leave for 24 hours. Again, no fit issues here at all, really. It clicked into place quite nicely, and just, you can see me quite a slow process here, just double checking that everything's in place. The only sort of issue that, well, it's not an issue, the only sort of problem that I had was there was quite an obvious gap between the root of the wings and the fuselage, which needed filling. So off camera, I filled those in, got them all sanded down. And as I mentioned earlier, when you're gluing things together with the longer setting glue, I'm just using some tape to hold everything tightly in position. So for masking the canopy, I've bought an Edward masking kit for the Nimrod kit. I'm not the most confident when it comes to masking canopies, especially multiple sort of small screens like this. So these kits are really useful. They're all pre-made, pre-cut, so you just need to take the pieces off and apply them to the canopy. As you will see in the picture that's just about to pop up now, and that leaves you free to do the painting without worrying about straight lines or whatever, because they'll come out perfectly straight. After you've filled in the seams and sanded everything down, you do tend to lose some of the detail of the panel lines. So what I'm doing here is rescribing the panel lines using a scribing tool. This one is Tamiya's scribing tool. You've got a little template that you can see there, which I'm using just to use as straight lines, and you just very gently move along the panel lines with the tool, because it is extremely sharp. It's quite severe, so you don't need to press very hard. And once you've done that, you can check the panel lines to make sure that you can now see them all again, and they've been returned to how they were before sanding. So now I want to give the model a complete coat of primer, and you can see it didn't fit in the spray booth. It is a very large model, so I had to do it in sections stood against the booth with the extractor on, and I'm using the Ultimate Modelling Products grey primer for this through my airbrush. Went on really nice, and as you can see here, the model is fully primed, and just for scale I've put it next to a 1/72 scale Airfix dummy, so you can see the actual size of this model. It's quite a beast. Obviously the aircraft used to be an airliner, so now it's ready for the next stage. That's it for part 3. Hopefully we'll have part 4 uploaded soon, where I'm going to attempt my first pre-shading exercise, which I'll explain in the next video, and then applying the paint scheme to the model, and we will then look at putting on the rest of the undercarriage, the extra little pieces, and the decals. So thank you very much for watching the video and visiting the channel. Like I say, part 4 will hopefully be uploaded soon. Don't forget to subscribe, press the notification bell if you wish, and I will see you all in part 4. Thanks very much. Bye.